Howdy, folks. We are going to be doing the final episode of Night of the Seven Kingdoms, Season 1.
Sorry.
It's better to type. But
No, don't. Sorry.
My apologies. No worries. No worries, Mr. Balerian.
Sorry, I was having a technology moment.
Yeah, technology sucks.
Kill it, Dad.
Yeah. Well, this is the final episode. So far, this has been a very good show. I'm honestly really impressed. I have no complaints other than a couple of the fart jokes and Makar not knowing what a trial by seven is, even though the third most famous Targaryen of all time was involved in this trial by seven.
It's just a basic. It's like almost self-explanatory what it is.
Yeah, and also just the fact that Maegor the Cruel, arguably the Targaryen who stamped his legacy on the Seven Kingdoms more than just about any other Targaryen, other than maybe Jaehaerys, is forgotten by Maekar, who's
Yep.
yeah. Well, this is an interesting choice of music.
Yeah.
He's just like that's very clever, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Oh.
I like the bromance between these two. It's funny.
Yeah.
That's actually very funny that he's got an antler crutch. That's hilarious.
An antler crutch. Aw. The apple boy.
Dang.
Interesting.
This is not favorite. This is mockery. Huh.
I don't know if it. That's unnecessary teasing.
Yeah, it's a good touch that he's got a dark-skinned, pink-haired girl from Tyra Shore. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Let's see who else. Anyway, someone else is here. Oh, Skip, we are. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Very, very, very few, I imagine.
No parent should bury their child or something along those lines.
Yeah, which is a movie-only line, I think.
Yeah, it was even a little controversial.
Really? I thought it was
Yeah.
awesome.
People were like, people in the Middle Ages wouldn't talk like that. They were used to having kids die on them or whatever.
I think that's still. I honestly, that's the first time I've ever heard about it being controversial. Pretty much everybody has said like that's a really good emotional moment in the show. And then,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. Well, lots of things that are now totally accepted about the show and even considered great at the time were controversial.
I think within certain small groups of book purists, considering the financial and cultural success of the films,
Yeah, yeah,
Lord of the Rings was huge. Like it was an industry standard for multiple years, where everybody was trying to chase it.
yeah. Yeah, wherever the places we're always hanging out were full of book purists.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like. Um, huh. Aww. Raven Fossway is Chad. I love Raven Fossway.
Yeah.
Get off me, I'm not gay.
All right, that's enough.
I did criticize some things in the show, but that wasn't really one of them. The film, I mean, whatever. Fair enough. It's in the books too.
Yeah, and he just creates a new house.
Yep.
What a Chad. Oh, wow, they got married?
Hey, this is a romantic moment story.
Aw, that's cute. That is so cute and wholesome.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Hey.
I was. Well, so that's who she was cheering for. That's funny.
Sure.
Yeah, and I just it's kind of funny that she is tiny, or at least she looks tiny,
Yeah,
like really, really tiny. Very adorable though.
yeah.
Hopefully, Arian's a lot less of an awful bastard in the show.
Yeah, a little. There's not a big difference though.
Yeah, Maekar Targaryen is one of the worst lives of anybody in the Seven Kingdoms.
I don't know if I go that far. I'm sure there are millions of like
Okay, maybe tragic.
crippled people who had no money and stuff, and who also are and had nasty diseases and stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's just like
Rewind.
Uh,
This is like a very important sequence.
Yeah.
he's kind of weird, but it's like an oddly tragic life.
Yeah.
Considering, like his wife dies and leaves him with a bunch of kids that he doesn't know how to raise.
Clearly.
Well, considering that you're well, considering what happens at Summerhall and the fact that Dunk apparently lives through Summerhall.
Yeah.
I say that.
I do like the fact that they both look like they're banged up, and they
Yeah.
really do not look like they're intact.
They're just sore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is though one of my favorite exchanges in the series.
What do you think?
No, not really.
Is this in the book or is this added drama?
This seems added. Yeah.
This is added.
Okay.
And I might be misremembering the way the story goes exactly.
Okay.
Because I believe this takes place outside.
Yeah, it's interesting that they have that little bit of tension where Dunk Dunk is saying, "Hey, I'm so tired. I can't do this."
Yeah.
This is totally added.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know. That's an interesting. Oh, okay.
Come on,
So they're
they're-
very much.
Yeah, okay.
So they're stating it outright.
Yeah, that's a little.
I think that's totally fine that he picks up on the fact that Dunk's a big fraud. It's pretty obvious, but it's funny.
I think it's important that it's ambiguous on some level.
Why would you say it is? I feel like it's pretty clear.
It's
that
almost entirely obvious, but what I like to think is that think about what Dunk says. Dunk describes it as that Arlen touched him on the shoulder and said some words, but like that obvious. But okay. So hold on. Let's wait to the end. I don't like interrupting the thing.
Oh, so they were leaving it kind of ambiguous.
Well,
okay, what the heck?
this is weird. Oh my god. Yes, everything about us is also about our houses.
Dragon whore, wow.
What I miss?
Just a scene with Arlen and Dunk where he says that he never got knighted by him.
So Arlen was never knighted either?
Well, that Dunk was never knighted
Okay.
by Sir Arlen. He states it.
Got this again.
Well, I think it's kind of.
It's just tired. I'm just really tired of it. Like it's not.
Well,
Like that's fine. The fact that Aaron was once a good kid and he's become bad, that's fine. It's just I'm sick of hearing about insanity.
well, I don't. I think that they're kind of they're very much saying no to the Born with Insanity deal.
Yeah.
I think they put their stamp pretty clearly.
I'm also just sick of hearing about how it is mental illness. Like some people are just assholes.
Well, the idea is that it's dragon prophecy that is the thing that drives them mad.
Are there that many mad Targaryens actually?
Well, psychopathic. I would say that there's a lot of. I think that some of it has to do with, like, Arian has dragon dreams for sure, and like he thinks about being the dragon.
Oh, Aerion is mad, certainly. Well, not mad, at least. Yeah, he's mad.
Daron is at least severely mentally ill because of the
This scene is
dragon dreams. And Egg is clearly just like, I want to murder my brother.
There's nothing mad about that.
Yeah, no. Considering that he was like, I'm going to castrate you.
And this is okay, so this is very different from
Yeah, they
books and
stretched
how
it
it's-
out.
and how it's
They did
yeah.
step in.
Yeah.
Oh,
What a great lady.
That's a good girl.
she's salty about it, Bob, but she does her best.
It's the single most significant. It's the single most significant thing she does in the story.
Yeah, considering his family's a bunch of crazy people.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you dick. It's like, you questioning my parenting skills? Yes.
Yeah, kind of.
That's actually a really good line.
Yeah.
He's like, he's my last boy. He's my baby.
Aw.
Oh, she gets it back. Oh, he gets her back.
Aw. I like to show you.
Raymond. Oh, Raymond.
I was going to rate it 1 out of 10, but now I'm going to rate it 10 out of 10 because of the horse.
You bought me a horse.
That horse is so pretty.
Go on the road.
Oh, there it is. All right, so this is smart. This is them not having to have the horse around,
Yeah.
pay for it. That's fine. You can. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah, I think that's smart. And also, like, she disappears. The other option is she died.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah, like Gurm is mean to animals.
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, like the mountain to his horse.
Yeah, and the poor dog and the pig. She could have at least kept one of them.
Ale's a copper. It's a good setup and payoff. I like that.
Yeah.
He just limps away. And it's the same thing as on his sword, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
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 There are 9 regions. This pleases me. This child is technically correct.
Yeah.
This
That's
child,
No, I've always loved it. I've there's 9 regions. That is a correct statement.
Yeah, it's always been kind of stupid. Like, what do you do with the Iron Islands? What do you do with,
oh, that's really cool.
yeah.
Like Sir Arlen's ghost
Yeah.
rides off on Sweetfoot.
Aw.
That's actually really cool. It just looks like he's been
What?
through hell.
What?
Arian just looks like he went through hell. That's really funny.
Oh, the show's still on. That's weird.
Yeah. Like a taster.
Oh, this is unnecessary melodrama. This is not good. This is not good.
What?
Really? This? This song?
Oh, that's kind of funny. That interesting. Oh,
What are they doing? I mean, like, okay.
So Makar doesn't know. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Poor Makar.
All
He's not
right.
having a good day.
That I don't know. That's unnecessary melodrama. The whole point is that Makar lets him. That's
Yeah.
There's a couple things here that are just they're putting that in there for the story. The war is coming thing. That's okay. You gotta have like some kind of hook. The whole point is that Makar agrees and lets Egg go with him. That's the point. That's the point of the end of the story. Like the exchange. You know the whole like Baylor dies because justice is worth a prince's life. That's the point of the fucking story. And thought the not knighting thing a little strange. Because in the book it is very ambiguous. It's all but stated, but that means that could be Duncan's own doubts about what Arlen did with him.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not actually a knight. And maybe they had to make it explicit in order because the show audience might just not get it.
Well,
Yeah.
He's almost certainly lying about something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not a knight because why wouldn't he knight Raymond then if he were a knight?
Okay, so the idea is that he doesn't he wasn't all right. He wasn't like fully knighted, right? Meaning he was like Arlen tried to knight him and was going to knight him, but he couldn't complete it. And Dunk was probably too nervous / sad and / confused that he wasn't paying attention properly.
Could be.
I'm just saying that's a possibility, right? And the idea is that Duncan is such a good guy that even this ambiguous situation bothers him.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's almost like Makar was like, since Makar's totally fine with him going with Dunk, as far as I'm aware in the novel, right?
Yeah, Makar Makar agrees. Like he like the sequence is much more in the book. It's much more vivid because Dunk is outside. It happens outside. He comes to him after the funeral. Makar comes to him. It's outside. He looks out on the lake that he's sitting near, and he's struck in a moment to say, Dunk is struck in the moment to say what he says, and he convinces Makar, and it, that's what happens. And there's an idea that for whatever it's worth, he agrees with Dunk's assessment. Not like that Aegon lies, and now this is melodrama. This is uninteresting as a development as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty unnecessary melodrama leading to a hook for season 2.
Uh-huh.
Which is interesting because there's no. Are we going to have Bloodraven trying to find Find them.
I don't know, like it's weird, and the second story, the Sworn Sword, is nice because it's actually very disconnected from like all the Targaryen stuff, and yet it has important moments. It has like the most we ever get. Well, not the most we get the Blackfires, but it's very disconnected. And like, what's it gonna like? You're right. What's it gonna be now? Is like it's gonna be like Bloodraven hunting Duncan down with that cold moat or Standfast or whatever.
Yeah, is Maekar, whatever his name is, gonna turn up at Stone Moat, Cold Moat, whatever.
Exactly. It's just kind of strange. I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah, it's rather odd. Odd for sure. I'm like, huh. It's a interesting choice.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, overall still good. It's just very strange. It's just some concessions are understandable if it's like television. That one wasn't.
Yeah, not so sure. Yeah, not so sure about that either. Yeah. It seems in the show, in the books, Maekar just leaves. Doesn't answer, he just leaves. But then Egg comes and says, "My father says I'm to serve you as a squire." And it's understood that Maekar agreed with that, but he didn't. He just went off and didn't say anything.
Yeah.
It's just because that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a man of few words, and most of them blunt, straightforward, and unrefined, shall we say?
Yeah, he's even more unrefined in the show, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, they definitely.
This yeah, I just. Yeah, this feels like them forcing something where this is them wanting there to be drama. That's all this is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a change, but I think it does kind of make sense with Maekar's character.
I mean, it's not like, I guess it's not an intrinsically bad change, and it's not a.
It is definitely like thrown in there as a like melodrama hook, or even like just a comedy bit.
Just a end on a cliffhanger, end on a not exactly cliffhanger, but sort of cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's just yes, it is there for either light melodrama, like comedic melodrama, or just like actual like melodrama, which will be annoying.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because they seem like they mostly just do like funny stuff.
Yeah, it does. I do think it undercuts his character, though. It undercuts the reasonability of his character.
I completely forgot to tell you at the beginning of this that there was this lengthy mucus bit with a close-up of mucus coming out. I completely forgot to tell you that at the beginning. Now it's spoiled.
Interesting. Well, it looks like Preston. Well, it looks like Preston and Carmine were lying about the latrine sex.
Oh, that's good. I'm not going to be angry about that.
Yeah.
I found the bit with Lionel more interesting. That seemed like a much more serious hook. I'm not sure why they're baiting that so.
Because it seems as though he's like, it's interesting because like it's almost the idea that Lionel wants to start Robert's Rebellion early, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And or even because I don't think that the Baratheons, as far as I know, were not Blackfire supporters.
I don't
The
think so.
Baratheons? No, they weren't. They're the second. In a lot of ways, they're I'm gonna say this the second house of the realm, but they're like you know, there's no indication that they're ever like
They're comfy where they're at.
yeah, even beyond that, you know, Lionel. So we all know Lionel eventually rebel. You know, there's the whole his brief insurrection.
Yeah, where he declares himself where he declares himself the Storm King due to one of them breaking one of their his
Prince
son.
Duncan. So famously, Aegon's oldest son, Duncan, abrogates or abandons or renounces his marriage proposal to Lionel's daughter.
Yeah,
and that's Jenny of Oldstones. That's the Prince of Dragonflies. That's the Woods Witch. It's one of the more interesting wrinkles that Martin kind of throws out there, and that he plays with. I think, and I think it's mostly because Oldstones just rolls off the tongue really well.
Yeah.
But you know, that's what Lionel does, and the idea is very simple. I think it's very straightforward. I think there's other things to it, but like I think that there is sort of, you know, that doesn't have to be anything more significant than the fact that he was insulted, and that is a great insult. That is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be more than that. And not everything has to be a conspiracy.
Yeah. One thing that I am interested to see is if they are, well, I don't know if they would ever do this, but there's the Grand Maester conspiracy.
I don't.
You hate that? Yeah.
It just doesn't like it. I don't think it is what too many people are focused on, like treating this series in particular, and lots of shows, but too many people are focused on treating fiction like it's like stories, like they're puzzles. They're not riddled. They're not puzzles to be solved. They're like vistas to be explored.
Yeah. They treat literature as a cryptogram.
Exactly, right? It's like everything's a mystery box. Everything's a fucking riddle.
Well, it's just like Maester Maro. It's mostly like, I think that the only reason why the Grand Maester conspiracy is a part of it is because of a combination of Dance with Dragons and Fire and Blood. Those are the main breeding ground for the Grand Maester conspiracy.
Yeah, that and like the technical beginning of A Feast for Crows. I feel like this is. Yes, I agree with that. I think that this is more easily. I also think that people are looking for more interesting things than what is like it is. Like, because the whole point is that the Maesters. It's not that the Maesters. There's like some conspiracy by the Maesters to kill magic. It's that they're so narrow-minded in their thinking that they've forgotten magic. Like it's a subtle distinction, but it really makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're just kind of they're not even incompetent. They're just not attentive to
magic.
Exactly.
There is kind of a pattern in the world of Ice and Fire where everything related to magic that the Maesters dismiss is accurate. And that's generally, and I would say that probably holds true for Fire and Blood as well. So
that seems to be a joke on, but that's almost a joke on them.
It could be, yeah.
Right. I mean, I get it. In some cases, it can be more interesting to think that there's a willful cover up going on, but to what end? Right.
Well, it could just be that one kind of a theory that people posit is, at least the Order of the Green Hand posited, is that the Maesters want things to go back to how it was before the dragons,
I mean,
where basically the entire kingdom was enthralled to the faith.
that's I mean, that's not entirely true because there've
basically-
always been non-seven worshippers, I guess, and also like that's conflating. I feel like that conflates them with. That's the other thing that happens. Like that's conflating them with the faith of the seven itself, which
Well, aren't they part of it?
the Maesters. Oh, they're not.
Yeah, they're technically. Well, I would say that they are because Old Town.
Okay, see, that's the thing. That's the thing. They're no. They're technically not. They're not officially, right? The hypothesis is that they are because House Hightower and Old Town is also the historical home of the faith, right?
So kind of the theory that I've heard, and I'm not advocating for it. I'm just kind of explaining. The idea is that the Andals, when they got there, subsumed Old Town and the Maesters into the faith, and since then they have been they have been operatives for the faith since the Andals stole Old Town from whatever First Men family used to be there, and the theory is that it is that it was the Manderleys that got subsumed and driven out. Of the
I
High
mean
Tower.
that's just not. That is. I would say there's almost no evidence for that. I mean, the weird like that's see. Here's why I object to this. The weird stuff we know about Old Town and House Hightower is like in the exact opposite direction of that, right? Every
They're kind of Valyrian looking, really. That's how they're described.
I think that's just because they're old. I think that's just like because the head of the house is an old man. Because as far as I'm aware, they don't have white hair.
Well, I do know like Jaehaerys mistook Alicent for his daughter Sarah, which is kind of, like that's one of the things. So, and I don't know if like he was super blind, but
I think that's just senility.
Could be.
Yeah. I think that more than that, it's my point was more that everything we know about like Old Town is like the faith. Like so first of all, the faith of the seven is not a. I mean, this is like a severe point of criticism. So the faith of the seven is not really a well thought out religion.
Oh no, it's not.
It's and like the Maesters working to subsume everyone in the faith when they as an institution seem to predate them because they technically do with House Hightower and Old Town and the Citadel. Everything that's interesting about that place points to what we might call pre-Andal stuff, right there. There's the oily black stone that so I have a whole crazy obsession. So I have a very particular obsession with House Hightower, and it's not what you think. Because to me,
they're kind of one of the weird magic houses left.
No. Hold on, let me explain my point, please.
Okay.
So if something very weird has happened over the course of this series, because if you actually read the fucking story, House Tyrell is the house that actually matters in the plot and everything. And yet, over time, and mostly this is because Martin hasn't finished the fucking books.
It was just throwing crap in.
Yeah, House Hightower has slowly they've slowly they've completely irrelevantized House Tyrell in discussions of the story.
Yeah, like to the point where basically it's almost kind of a joke, the fact that House Tyrell didn't participate in the dance, and they've played mostly no part in the history of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah, and it's even to the point where, in the context of the main story, the story that actually matters, Martin, you know, the Tyrell's contributions are like almost, they're not even like, don't worry, we know what they are, but they're not theorized about, they're not talked about. What matters is that, you know, what matters is that Euron is attacking Old Town, not that he's attacking the Reach and Highgarden. You know, the stuff in the World Book is all about how Old Town is weird and creepy, and not about anything about Highgarden.
And there's also like little bits of the faith of the Seven Septs are basically like Lovecraft churches.
Oh, this whole thing about the faith is actually an evil death cult. Yeah, that's one of the things. Part of it involves the fact that the Andals had hook noses.
I don't know about
that, and the fact that their journey makes no sense, and that the story of the Andals is clearly like they're a bunch of psychos. Like the Andals are a bunch of psychos, as described in the World of Ice and Fire with the whole Swan Maidens thing. They're basically like reaving and raving across the Seven Kingdoms, and then suddenly got uncivilized.
It's a little weird. Like, again, this is where I think this is more a function of Martin not being the greatest world builder ever than anything else.
Yeah.
Because what they seem to be is they seem to be people fleeing the Valyrian conquests, and it's a series of invasions/migrations.
Yeah.
But it's very weird, and then like and how much they like overtake Westeros is just kind of
insane.
It is a little weird.
It's also like weird because there's also like strange because it's like they seem to be like the Valyrians seem like they're cool with people practicing religion, various different religions, kind of in the same way that Rome did.
Yeah, but I mean, first of all, that's a hint to their decadence, and it's also you know, they're also really cool with making everyone slaves. So that's like the hint. That is like one of the only things that makes coherent sense why the Faith of the Seven is anti-slavery or has prescriptions against slavery, because it's a cultural memory of the Valyrians. But no, my point is that the Hightowers, who are like this ancient pre-Andal family, and like and they're you know, like the whole idea is that the base of the tower is made of the same stuff that the Sea Stone chair is made out of, which is like this weird oily black stone.
Or that is probably on what Storm's End is made out of.
Yeah, there's like hints.
Winterfell. Like places like Winterfell as well.
Yeah, there's like a couple of really weird hints, and the only really concrete connections between the only stated connection is the connection between the High Tower and the Sea Stone chair. Those are explicitly stated to be the same material. And you know, the whole thing is that, man, thank God this snowstorm is going to keep me from going to work tomorrow. I think the mayor apparently has, you know, they've given me no travel like warning. Whatever. You guys don't have to worry. I mean, you don't have to worry about that. So otherwise I would be asleep. No, I wouldn't. I'm terrible at getting to sleep. But the whole idea, like the Tyrells like murder Joffrey. Like I don't like it. It's kind of like, it's so bizarre to me that they're like completely just been like, they feel like afterthoughts in the story to their own Baron, who haven't even shown up on page.
Yeah.
And
So would you say that because Preston believes that believes Preston Jacobs, for example, somebody who is intimately familiar with Martin and the story, is just reading things into it by saying that seems to be a Grand Maester conspiracy after reading Fire and Blood?
I would say that. First of all, I would say that I'm as intimately familiar with the story as he is, and I know that's a bold claim, but fuck him. And I would say that that's focusing on the wrong things. Like what matters in the narrative isn't like the text matters in a story. Like the text actually is the thing that matters. We have to understand what the text is saying, but what matters in the story is, like here's a really good example, and of the kind of analysis that I like more than crap like that, which is in A Dance with Dragons, there's the whole story about Theon, right, and Reek and Theon and all that stuff, right? And part of the reason why Theon's story is so good is that, and this I'm cribbing this from Poor Quentin, who I generally like. He has a great series on Davos. He has a great series on Quentin himself, the character. Mm-hmm. But part of the reason why Theon's story works in Dance with Dragons is that Theon is being like, Theon's like being forced into like a fake identity role as a Reek, right? And then he's being like forced to like reassume his identity as Theon to take back Mold Caelan, which like plays like into this like weird, it's like this crazy compartmentalization game. But the reason why that works, or part of the way it works, is that it's happening elsewhere throughout his story. It's like echoing throughout his plotline because Jane Poole is being forced to pretend to be Arya Stark. There's actually the introduction of Roose Bolton when Roose Bolton was reintroduced. Oh, I love Roose. He's so good. He's such a good villain. When Roose is reintroduced, he's it's a fake. There's a body double, right? There's a fake Roose Bolton, right? Roose Bolton was having someone else pretend to be him, and it's this constant playing with identity, and also this. It plays into the deeper level of the constant playing around with the truth, right? Like what makes the phrase and the Bolton so potent in A Dance with Dragons as villains is that they're forcing other people to go along with their lives, right? Not just, and obviously the most intimate example of this is Ramsay forcing Theon to be Reek, but it's again they're forcing the lies about the Red Wedding. They're forcing the lies about Jane Poole. They're forcing the lies about the sack of Winterfell. And
the Mummer's farce will soon be over.
Yes.
We're going to eat some phrase.
Yes, we are. Yes, we're going to munch on some phrase. But that's the point, right? Like that's the thing, right? It plays into this deeper this deeper poison of deceit in the realm, and obviously that's true from the very beginning with the Lannisters. But in Dance with Dragons in the North, it's so magnified. It's why the Davos chapter where he's in the court and he has to call out the phrase for where he calls out the phrase for liars they are is so good because it's him saying it's him attacking them the way they need to be attacked. Right? It's not, and don't get me wrong, there's something very good about, just taking a sword and chopping people's heads off. But their weapon, their armor, and their weapon is lies. And the remedy for the antidote to that is just saying the truth and calling out people for being liars. You know, and again, that plays into that is reflected all throughout Theon's chapters, right? And Theon's whole story, and the whole story of the North and the Dance of the Dragons. You know, there's the Karstarks being liars. There's it's echoing, right? It's this hall. You know, it's like a whole. It's be too poetic. It's like a hall of mirrors almost. You know, the I don't know. Like I find that's the kind of analysis that matters. That's the way the story matters. Not, you know, I don't know. Not like, oh, there's like a conspiracy of maesters. It's like, you know, like, okay.
Sure. I find it interesting because I just find that the whole it's interesting that the Faith of the Seven seems weirdly like obsessed with preventing Dragon X genes or like dragon genes from happening in the Targaryen family.
Where do you get
that? Basically, the idea is that they are super against Maegor marrying his niece Rhaena, even though uncle-niece marriage is not considered incest in Westeros.
I don't know that that's true. And
nobody really cares about it. Like, it's basically like nobody really.
Okay, even if that's not true, I think the other reason they care about it is that I'm pretty sure he was either still married at the time, or that was part of him like setting up a harem.
No, that was before he. They actually basically the idea. What happens is, Rhaena, Visenya suggests that Maegor be married to Rhaena. The Grand Maester and the High Septon object, and he gets married. And instead of Rhaena, he gets married to Cerise Hightower, who was quite a bit older than him. And he only gets married to Ellis Haraway after
after Cerise proves like the Arenal was really him, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get that. Fair enough. I can get that point, but
and there's like just weird things where they seem to be trying to get Rhaenyra not to. They're very anti-Dreamfire Rhaena as well, and are trying to make it so that she doesn't have kids. Same with Rhaenyra. They also don't seem to like Daemon Blackfire either, and one of the things about Daemon Blackfire is that, unlike, say, he has more Targaryen genes in him that are passed down from Rhaenyra than his brothers.
Sure, that is a correct statement. That is the far more interesting case for his kingship, that he is technically of the superior line.
Yeah.
If everyone followed the rules, he is by Cognatic primogenitor actually the if you accept the legitimization of bastards, he is technically the head of the house.
I think it's also. I think mainly it's just the Maesters are trying to at least like as soon as the dragons come in, it seems like for most of the Targaryens' existence, it's basically them versus the Faith. With the High Towers, like first it's basically the Faith of the Seven versus Maegor, and then there's the theory that the High Towers.
The whole Alicent thing was a part of that, right? The whole Alicent and Otto thing. I get that logic. I would kind of respect that a little bit because fuck Jaehaerys.
Yeah. Yeah, Jaehaerys is a bad king. He's a terrible person.
He's a bad guy. He sets up the dynasty for tyranny. He is like Octavian in that sense. He is like Augustus in that sense. He sets up the dynasty for tyranny. He sets up the Targaryen dynasty to be a study in what we would call a managed decline. Right? That's appropriate, right? That's it's just this, it's just managing the decline. It's just slow decay, and some people can arrest that decline. Some people can, slow it down. Some people can do it very smoothly. Baylor was going to do it very smoothly, but eventually you were going to get something either like Aerys II, who got exactly what he fucking deserved, and Rhaegar, who again got what he fucking deserved. Or it would have been a different kind of dissolution. Eventually, the mandate of heaven would pass. It's a dead it's a dead world that it's a dead thing that Jaehaerys creates.
Yeah, and the other main problem is that he actually, after consolidating absolute power for himself for years, democratizes it, and that is what creates the problem for his dynasty going forward, because by making it up to the people, he blunders politically and says, you now have the ability to choose the king now. The king doesn't choose his heir anymore. The people do. The lords of the realm do, and that creates the destabilization.
Kind of. I mean, I don't necessarily. I don't strictly view it as a bad thing. I think that I think the doctrine of separatism. I think that the fact that the mask comes off with Jaehaerys, right? Like the how do I put this correctly? Like, he reduces the kingship to being first of all, he creates the doctrine of separatism, which I consider to be just like it's pure evil. He subsumes the faith, which and he subsumes the faith of the realm to subservience to political expediency, which kills it. Like, he kills the thing that a people needs in order to be vivacious. And at the same time, he basically justifies this by being a good administrator, by being basically a good bureaucrat, and that's soul deadening. It's not conducive to. It's why I actually don't dislike Daeron the First too much, because I think that he does what a king is supposed to do.
Yeah, Daeron the First is he was trying to unify the realm with a common enemy, functionally.
Who was an actual enemy. Dorne is not this is the thing. This is where Martin, again, this is also where critique of the text or critique of the characters within the text must transfer to a critique of the author himself, because the whole Daeron thing, is
I think at least Benjen remarked. I think it was either Benjen or Tyrion remarks that the young dragon was stupid for going south up to Dorne.
Yes, no, Daeron exists as Martin, as one of Martin's many critiques of the Vietnam War, and that's dumb.
Yeah,
it's really, really dumb. I mean, I suppose it is appropriate, because just like the Vietnamese, the Dornish are scumbags.
Dorne is. It's weird that a lot of people Dorne is super egalitarian. It's no, Dorne is a bunch of awful people.
Dorne,
the Ullers are psychos.
Yes,
Like, and they during the War of the Conquest, Aegon is pretty much portrayed as like can do no wrong type person when going up against people who enjoy cutting chunks off of other people
yeah, the
and seeing
wills
how
are
long they
awful.
can make it.
Yeah, the wills are awful. The and this is for me is like where Martin like the whole point of the feudal aristocracy and the martial aristocracy is that in war they fight. Right. This is where like the broken man speech works, but like the whole conceit of it rings a little hollow because Martin wants to have his cake and eat it too. Martin wants and people constantly want this. They want this. It's like, oh well, it's always the rich people forcing the poor people to fight. And it's like that's not true. That is just not true in history. And under feudalism, the point is that the nobles are the guys who fight. And the nice thing about a lot of them is that we actually see this. You know, Robb Stark leads his armies personally. You know, even Jaime does this. Like, even Tyrion does this. Right? They are the martial aristocracy. The Martells abrogating their feudal responsibility to defend the realm and being rewarded for it with victory over the Targaryens is scummy. It's like it's almost like disgusting on Martin's part to have him do this. Like the peasants should turn on the Martells. The whole reason the Martells live in the big tower is that when the enemy comes, they go fight. Like an old woman, an old fat lady. That's fine. All the best. But like an old fat lady, like refusing to take to the battlefield is gross. Like that's an abrogation of their feudal responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get and like that's just the conquest thing. And then
it's
you
also weird that like it is weird that like even though like Doran stays weirdly loyal to the Martells even after like Aegon burn like strafe runs.
Yeah, no. The first thing out of everyone's mouth should have been, if you're not going to fight, we're going to leave you. Like that's how this works. But no, Martin wants to tell his story of guerrilla resistance and national uprising. And I can respect the nationalists to an extent, but not that much.
After a while, and considering that there's kind of the theory that Rhaenys survived her fall with Meraxes.
Yeah,
that the Ullers took her and tortured her, like in the same way that they tortured her, and then eventually, like either like they sent like some bit of her.
Yeah, that's like
Aegon.
That's
what that was the blood. It was a body part of Rhaenys that he crushed in his hands rather than gripping the Iron Throne.
Exactly, right. Like that's yes, and that's one theory, and there's also the theory of so I'm not going to give them a pass for the abrogation of their feudal responsibilities. I'm not doing that. And then there's also like, again, there's the whole, they're belligerent, they're faithless, they're like the whole, like,
they killed Daron under under a flag of parley,
which
is super and
that's like
in prison. Aemon the Dragon Knight.
Yeah, that's like evil. Like, and even when fucking Baelor shows up to like get his cousin out, like they still fuck with him.
Yeah, they make him like walk through a thing of poisonous snakes.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's ridiculous. These are not good people, and like this is worse. Like this is worse. Wait,
it's almost comical how evil they are, and even like Oberyn Martell. Oberyn Martell's not a good person.
Oberyn is a pretty bad. We talk about people who are elevated by the show. Oberyn gets like a big lift. in the show.
Yeah.
Um,
They basically made him into Inigo Montoya, who a bisexual, horny Inigo Montoya in the
That's
show.
fair. That's fair, and like that's a good way to put that. And like I can get it because you want someone like that in and of itself. Like fidelity of the text is not something I always obsess about. And in that case,
For sure. Legend of the Seeker, the TV show is infinitely better than the books because the books are awful. The books are really, really bad. Like the Sword of Truth series, I'm sorry, Sword of Truth fans. Sword of Truth, the book series is so bad.
I'll take your word for it.
It's incredibly lazy. Basically, every book is a copy paste of the same plot, where basically how it works is initial plot. We have a problem. Meandering around, abrupt Deus Ex Machina to fix the problem, and then the next book is the fallout of the Deus Ex Machina from the last book. And then
sounds like
Deus Ex Machina again and again and again, repeated over like 12 or 13 books.
It reminds me of that. Reminds me it's almost like a Simpsons episode where like it starts off one way and then it goes somewhere else.
Well, it's just super frustrating. Like it also has a really, really annoying tone problem and just a series of Deus Ex Machinas to solve the problems. Is really, really annoying. Like I got sick of it by book 5 and just like read Wikipedia synopses for the rest of them. So I was like, I'm so bored. Like five's just a bad book. It's so lame.
That's fair. I will say this: I'm curious about the work of David Eddings, who wrote the Belgariad and.
You only want to pick one series to read of David Eddings because for me, I've read or listened to the Elenium and the Tamuli.
Okay.
And they are structured exactly the same.
That's fair.
And they're sequel series, but they are structured exactly the same to the point where they have like exact similar things happening within the same like rough time frames.
Okay.
And like have similar characters kind of moved over. They also, the main thing that pulls them up is that the character interactions are really fun.
Okay.
If you're looking for something that's a little bit more like intellectually interesting, the First Law series is.
You've recommended that in the past. I've actually picked up the first book. I just got.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know if do you not like? Quick question: do you like audiobooks or no?
I do. I want to get back into reading. Actually, my friend and we actually bought Lord of the Rings to like read all the way through. He's actually started before me, which is pretty impressive considering his terrible track record with this stuff. But no, I do want to settle. I do want to settle down and start reading things again. So, but don't worry, I do like audiobooks.
Well, it's just that for me, it's just the guy who reads the First Law series, Stephen Pacey, is like legit. It's almost like listening to an audio drama. Like it is legitimately amazing. Like it is legitimately super entertaining.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I'll consider it. I'll definitely keep it in mind.
Yeah, it is super fun, and also the guy who does. Have you ever watched Yu-Gi-Oh by any chance or heard of it?
I am aware of what Yu-Gi-Oh is. Yes.
Yeah, because the guy who reads the first trilogy for the Elenium plays Yusei Fudo and Tristan Taylor from Yu-Gi-Oh.
That's funny. I mean, I was hoping you were going to say Pegasus. That would be great.
No, it would have been awesome. I would love to have the guy who played Maximilian Pegasus, Yugi boy.
Yes, I would love that. That's just so funny.
God, Yugi's been taking your life points for what? Going on 3 years now? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh my god, that'd be great. But anyway.
Yeah. All right.
But I'll definitely keep it in mind. I'm sorry, that was just a weird tangent. I definitely think that what we're talking about again, we're talking about Jaehaerys, how much he sucks. We're talking about how much Dorn sucks in particular, but that
yeah,
and then we're talking about how Oberyn sucks, and then we're talking about Fidelity. And like the point about Dorn is that like the critique there isn't really of Dorn, although I think they're bad. It's the critique there is of Martin, because Martin doesn't seem to realize that they're bad.
Yeah, and even like Oberyn, the fact like Oberyn has been training his daughters to murder folks.
Yeah, like
Dorn
is
like Tyene is psycho. Like she is so scary when you actually like get right down to it.
Yeah, Dorn is see this is where again like this is where like it starts to get it's I don't know how much I can critique Martin, because for me like Dorn works best, and this is why Arya stuff is so like strange for me, because Dorn works in the context of Varys. It's why I like Varys so much as a character, because they're part of Varys's scheme with Aegon the Sixth, and that makes sense. That works. You know, so in that context, they work. They're part of this plot to reestablish the Targaryen dynasty on their own terms, right? And this is the thing, right? They want to be like, look at what they were before Robert's Rebellion. Was they were basically the number 2 house in the realm, right? That's basically what they were, and not just because they were married, but they had been over since Daeron the Second. They were basically the number 2 house in the realm, and you know, in that context, they're working with Varys makes sense. It makes perfect sense, because they want to get it back. They're the most, I would argue, they're the most sympathetic group within Varys's cohort overall that we know, because yes, Elia was murdered and her children were murdered, but their goal is still to reestablish a dynasty that, as far as I'm concerned, deserve to get overthrown. So that's that. But I do think that excuse me. I mean, do you know what I'm saying about like how Dorn fits into Varys? Like, is that am I making that point coherently?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know. I just I think the
my thought is basically like Dorn wants to regain control, and functionally, since Viserys is dead, Arianne Martell is likely going to shag Fagon's brains out, and it's kind of going to be almost a slight parallel where he marries the wrong girl. When he should be marrying Daenerys, he's going to marry Arianne because he's stupid, young, and horny.
That's kind of true, but it's also, yes, like I don't disagree with that, and I agree that that's like the obvious setup, right? Which is why like I can't stand like theories for the sake of theories, right? The obvious setup is that Arianne is going to marry the person who's supposed to be her cousin, which is fine, you know, for given value of fine, right? It's not illogical. Yeah. And yes, it is true that probably the smarter play is for him to get with Daenerys, even though, in fairness, but there's levels to this, right? Because one, he can't know, like Daenerys is like AWOL, right?
Yeah,
she's like a non-entity as far as everyone is concerned. And this is again a function of like her not. I really don't like that. It's not fair to say I don't like Daenerys. It's more that I don't.
You don't like her plot.
It's not even that I don't like her plot, because I think there's things in her plot that are fine. I don't like how she fits. She's supposed to fit into the actual plot, right? It's very strange. It's very particular. Like, don't get me wrong, she does suffer. Her plot does suffer from a couple of things, namely that her. Again, I will always say this: her antagonists are atrocious. Atrocious. She has bad antagonists.
Yeah, and the main way that you can actually like get her something interesting is if you pit her against Euron, who seems like he's almost a Valyrian cosplayer, where he
Yes,
is
that's a good way of saying
as
that. Yes.
yeah, he's got the worst aspects of old Valyria.
Yes.
Um,
That's a good. Yes, that is a good. That's exactly right. I think right. That is a good way of thinking about it. He is the inheritor of the Valyrian, the ancient Valyrian mindset.
as opposed to what seems to be like the Targaryen mindset seems to be ever so slightly like it's there's at least like a measure of nobility by comparison to
No, I do think
Valyria
that
pretty
there is a
old.
I do think that there is a tension. Like not I'm not a total anti-Valyrian racist, right? There is a tension in. Well, actually, I am because fuck Valyrians.
Mhm.
But there is a tension within the Targaryen dynasty. But like the tension is how Valyrian are we going to make this thing? And when it goes wrong when they indulge in that impulse.
Mhm.
So
It's basically like when they believe themselves to be god kings, like Maegor
exactly.
and
Or Ares, or Jaehaerys himself. Like Jaehaerys is just
Jaehaerys. He was smarter about
yeah,
being a god king.
exactly.
The problem is also that Jaehaerys is also kind of incompetent.
Jaehaerys is also like he's how do I put this? He is
A traumatized kid lashing out who the Maesters whitewashed to seem like he's better than he is, though it could just be Martin being dumb. I'm about the fact that he miswrote Jaehaerys.
yes. What What Jaehaerys really is a full on that is it's a study in Martin like filleting a character. That's what Jaehaerys is.
Yeah,
But
could it be that Martin just has a warped sense of morality and doesn't understand that he's written a guy who is an awful king on paper and just doesn't realize it?
Yeah, that actually is true. That might actually be true. Here's the thing, right? That's the far more concerning idea.
Because he says that Jaehaerys is his favorite character, or is his favorite Targaryen king when asked about it.
Which is weird, both from a moral. Obviously, we're on the same page from like a moral / competency standpoint. That's questionable, and also even from an artistic standpoint, why? Like he's boring. Like on top of everything else, I think he's very boring.
There's also I think that because it's weird because there is nothing about Jaehaerys until Fire and Blood. He was only really asked about this kind of around the time that he finished up writing Fire and Blood. At least like that's my understanding of when this question came up and the answer came up. So it could just be that he just kind of really he just kind of filled in space, like writing a bunch of Jaehaerys stuff. And just by virtue of that, because as far as I'm aware, well, let me actually take a look at it, because I don't think he states any good reasons for why he thinks Jaehaerys the First is his favorite king.
Well, Jaehaerys, he's like, because Jaehaerys is like set up as like the archetypical, like he's the archetypical great king, right? And the like sort of the only joke, like not the joke, but like the the way it is that like he just happens to not be Aegon the Conqueror, right? Which is fine. Like that, like that makes sense. And like if Fire and Blood had never been written, and all we had was the world of Ice and Fire. Hell, if we didn't have the world of Ice and Fire at all, we just had the books, right? If we just had the normal things. I don't think that I think that Jaehaerys, there would be no objections to Jaehaerys. We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Jaehaerys would have just been like this good administrator in the background of the story.
But the problem is he decided to fill him out, and by
Yeah.
virtue of the fact that he filled him out, his morality becomes more questionable because Martin doesn't seem to know how to write an actually good king.
No, and he thinks yeah. This is part of, and I'm pretty sure. Like I don't mean to presume, but I'm pretty sure we've talked about this concept before. You are, if I'm guys, you are religious. I believe you're Mormon.
Yeah, I'm an LDS guy. Yeah,
That's fine.
serves an ecclesiastical mission and everything. But continue.
Right. Yeah. No, I just want to make sure I'm not talking past you.
Yeah. No, we have a similar-ish religious understanding of religious background, and I would say at least in terms of like.
I'm sure we both agree. I'm sure we would both. I'm sorry, I don't mean to speak over you.
No, you're fine. I was just saying, like, we both come from like at least a similar religious philosophical background to a certain extent.
I think that is because I think we both agree and recognize that subsuming religion to the state is kind of gross.
I would agree that it's a bad idea, mainly because it creates the similar problem. If we look at the Church of England, it's a similar problem.
Yep, that's a great example.
Yeah, where it's basically, hey, I don't like the fact that this guy is saying that I can't divorce my wife. Therefore, I can. I'm just going to create my own state religion that is basically no different than Catholicism in any discernible way, other than I am the head.
Yeah, it's subsuming what's supposed to be the highest in life to something that's lower, right? And this is very interesting because I've been listening to these Shakespeare lectures, and they're fantastic. They're fantastic. I think I talk about them every other time I come on this to talk about these stuff. But I love this guy, and I'm listening to them again, and part of the idea is that politics is a very necessary and vital component of human life, but politics is also very interestingly, it's like the middle, right? It's better than what's and this is what kind of like what King Lear is about. Like King Lear is like, what happens in King Lear is that King Lear like basically like fails, like he basically abrogates his political responsibility and things kind of like dissolve in his kingdom. And what happens is that you get like what pops out is like the worst people you can imagine because his evil daughters and their husbands / lovers go crazy. But on the other end of it is like you get his good daughter and his good lords and you see great goodness. And the idea is that politics like constrains the upper and lower limits of humanity. And this makes it both good because it means great evil doesn't proliferate, but it also makes it kind of tragic, and that is the appropriate term. It makes it tragic because it like caps the upper limit we can reach as well. And Shakespeare seems to recognize this, and this is what he explores in his Roman plays as well, because part of the reason Rome goes from republic to empire is that even though the Roman Republic is very potent and very capable, by the end of it, by Antony and Cleopatra, they become disillusioned with political life and political achievement, and they're looking for something greater and more. So, Jaehaerys taking the thing greater and more, the thing that's supposed to be greater and more than politics, and subsuming it to politics, is like this aberration in the order of being. Right? It's why one of the reasons I don't respect the faith as an institution in the story. I think that they are a cucked religion. It is why I have no problem with Melisandre, because a religion should be greater than politics. It should infuse politics. It should not be subordinate to politics. It's also why, again, like I like the religions are not as well articulated as there should be, honestly. But it's why, like, the idea of like the old gods really just being Bloodraven's spy network, I think that's gross. It's why I don't like the God King Bran idea.
I think even the idea with the old gods is more just the old gods are the children of the forest that have been subsumed into the werewood hive mind.
Sure.
And
Sure, I get that.
And-
I'm just saying, like, any kind of like thing that like makes the old gods like just, another people, let's say, or or like the old gods would be the thing that Bran uses to control others. Like that's,
Mhm.
that's kind of where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I know one kind of thing is that basically the religions of A Song of Ice and Fire are based around more psychic abilities than anything, other than the Faith of the Seven that seems to be the outlier.
Yeah.
Since the old gods are basically like warging and green seer magic, whereas stuff like R'hllor worship is more fire magic
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like this is also there's
or
this is
fire
Martin also.
fire psychic nation as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And then there's like you go, and then I have another question for you that I think might be interesting.
No, I just meant that like this is Martin playing with like this is Martin falling into like the trap of religion is magic, which is just kind of
Yeah, or at least like kind of like religion kind of seems to corrugate around certain magic stuff. I
Sure,
guess.
that's a good way of phrasing. That's another good way of phrasing that. Sorry, what
Yeah,
were you
whereas-
gonna say? Though?
Well, kind of like the idea is that magic seems like it is like people in A Song of Ice and Fire seem to be attempting to be practicing eugenics, especially the Starks and Targaryens.
This is the point you wanted to make.
Yeah,
Just wanna
well,
make sure.
I was just thinking like since that's especially during the Age of Heroes,
Mhm.
the Starks seem to be like subsuming
Yeah.
a large number of like psychic genes into their family.
I've come across this theory before. So first of all, let's answer the easy question first because that's what you do in any problem solving activity. Yes, the Targaryens, the Valyrians and the Targaryens are absolutely guilty of practicing something that we would recognize as like fantasy eugenics,
Mhm.
and it is gross as far as I'm concerned.
Mhm.
And like
Yeah, where they're and the Faith are trying to seem to be like trying to stop it, where like there are certain Targaryen females that are associated with dragon numbers spiking that they want to like try to make it so that they don't breed.
fair enough, I get that, and so just to focus on the Targaryens for a second. Like, first of all, why is the eugenics bad? Why is the incest bad? Well, the incest is bad for the same reason it's bad with like it's very
It creates
interesting,
mental
right?
instability.
No,
Like,
it's not. That doesn't help,
or
right? The physical, the genealogical dysfunction of it doesn't help, obviously, right? Like the fact that it, disease and all that kind of crap.
And
But-
it seems to be that they don't actually like look like they're inbred. They're like described as they're like actually like super physical. Like there are very, very few exceptions to the Targaryens are mostly hot.
Yes,
But that's kind of which is kind of the funny thing where it kind of just almost seems to say that they are a breed apart somehow. Like
partly
they seem to immune to a lot of things that would normally affect people that do what they do.
So there's levels to this. So there's levels to this. I'm really interested that you brought this up, right? So there's levels to this. The first is that if they're not men, if they're not like other men, then they shouldn't rule other men. Because men should be ruled by men,
Okay,
right?
yeah,
Not
I would concur
monsters,
with that. I would
right?
agree with that. Yeah,
So there's levels to this, right? So that's one thing, right? Like if they're holding themselves apart, then that means they deserve to be set apart.
Mhm.
Period. Now that's one thing. And the other thing about the incest, and again, the incest is a function of that narcissism. And the thing is I don't need the Targaryens to examine how toxic that can be. I can just look at Jaime and Cersei and see how toxic that can be. Right?
yeah, for sure. I would agree
Right.
with that.
Like Jaime and Cersei are like an echo of that. Like they're that impulse. It's ironic, but like it's smart, right? Like at the risk of praising Martin too much, right? This is intelligent on his part, because if the Targaryens were incestuous maniacs, because they are, and we saw how we just were dealing with their tyranny and their psychodrama in real time, their psychological drama. It'd be too easy, right? It would be too easy to like kind of like extrapolate from, just be all like contained within them. this sin, like the sin of incest, and incest is bad, not just because of the physical deterioration, but because it represents, one, it represents an obsession with the self. It represents an inability to generate, to how do I put this? It represents an inability to proliferate beyond, if you want to say, the tribe or the family or the immediate group. It represents a failure for the group it represents a failure for the in-group to properly incorporate out-group into it. And we see how toxic this is. And again, like the reason I'm bringing up the Lannisters is that the Lannisters, we see how toxic this is. Like Tywin Lannister has inculcated in a single generation the narcissism that the Valyrians cultivated over their entire culture. And we see how bad it is. Jaime and Cersei are fucking awful.
Yeah, they're pretty bad, and Cersei brings out the worst in Jaime.
Yes, and we see how that it doesn't, like, metastasize is almost too gentle a word. It like immediately explodes into like this, into like this realm murdering catastrophe. Right? So that kind of thinking, like, maybe we could say that at the very least the Valyrians were at least capable of like doing it slowly, but we see like the Lannisters fuck this up like immediately. It's not just because it's also because they're being dishonest about it, which automatically makes it equal. But that's the thing.
And they're also very much like destroying any sense of like trust or legitimacy.
Yes. No, they're murdering the realm. Like, I want to make this very clear. Like, as far as I'm concerned, the moral drama, like the good versus evil drama of the series, lies in the conflict against the Lannisters. They're evil. It's why, again, like I always reference the Davos scene. Because why does the realm bleed? Why are good kings murdered? Why do the people suffer? Because the Lannisters stole the throne. That's why.
It's very much a Tywin's. It's kind of almost a generational thing where Tywin's dad was a weak man that made Tywin overcompensate and become a much worse person.
Yes.
Due to the fact that he, like, even as a kid, he was clearly like did not believe in propriety. Like, him speaking out against his dad is highly inappropriate in the context of when he's living.
No, yeah, and like, he's belligerent, he's impertinent, he is self-important, and he's always like that, right? Like, there's like tons of that. He's heavy-handed and intemperate, we might say. And yeah, he thinks he can get away with it. His whole thing is that it seems to be his whole thinking is that he can just throw money and violence at problems until they're solved. And for me, the most interesting thing about Tywin Lannister is that we don't have a good read on his interiority at all. I actually think that's true.
I think the most that we can say about him is that he is probably like, he's very humorless. He probably kind of just thinks of things as they are.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, he has no. So what I mean by that is, the point I'm trying to make here, and this is a very minor point, honestly, if I'm being honest, is he doesn't, like, the question with Tywin is how much does he believe his own shtick?
I would say that he probably does.
That's fair. That's a fair reading of it, right? Because the other reading of it is that he knows what he's doing is all bullshit, and he's just trying to, like, he's just gaslighting everyone consciously. But the reading that you're saying you agree with, and I don't necessarily disagree, is that he actually believes his own spiel. He actually, like, thinks that he's the badass that he insists that he is.
Yeah, because I think that you don't insist like that unless you believe that you are.
That's fair.
And that's kind of my thought about it. Like he seemed, and also he seems to use humiliation as his primary weapon as well, for like punishments, like with Tyrion.
Yes.
Tyrion and Tysha, Alayaya,
No,
his dad's former
even
mistress,
even the Red
and
Wedding is like that.
Oh yeah, the Red Wedding is definitely like that. The Red Wedding is functionally a massive humiliation for Robb Stark for beating him.
Exactly. Right. Like so yes, yeah. Tywin has a keen grasp of what we would get. I guess what we would recognize is like he has a keen psychological grasp on things.
Where he's able to use the worst aspects of other people, like Walder Frey and Roose Bolton, but he functionally doesn't seem to believe in any kind of morality other than might makes right.
No, he is a.
Tywin is conceptualize of why breaking guest right is a horrible idea, and why just trumpeting the phrase and like so obviously aligning with the phrase by giving them all this stuff and a reward for the Red Wedding is a bad idea politically for his family.
No, I agree. Yes, Tywin, and again, it's like it seems to be that Tywin. It's kind of like what he thinks of the. It's kind of like similar, like his whole relationship with the Martell seems to be like just an encapsulation of this, right? Because he thinks that he can just make people accept what he does. Yeah,
even though what he's doing is fundamentally like gonna break the fabric of society and open up the people.
Yeah, it cracked.
It opens up the. Basically, it means that Waymond Manderley just says, "No holds bar anymore. I am going to resort. I get to do anything I want to kill these people."
Yes, no. Like he cracks open, like he untethers the realm from its foundations, right? You notice it's like deep, right? Because again, his family is like depraved. Like he has like this is why I do think
he's also a massive hypocrite. He's also a massive hypocrite.
Yes, that does not help.
He's clearly a set. He clearly like he has like sex with whores a lot, to the point where it's theorized that the Tower of the Hand tunnel goes to Chataeus was built by him.
Yes, that's. Yes, I agree. I get that. I accept that. I don't strongly object to that theory. I think that, and again, this is but this is why I think it's appropriate to reference him and his children and the whole situation the whole murder situation that they've created. Like this is the simplest way I could say this is that they are murdering the realm they presume to rule over. And I do think it's appropriate to reference them in the context of the Valyrians and the Targaryens. Because we see how this mindset in a single generation of a single family, what the damage it does.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about this, right? And it is it is an ultimate reflection of their narcissism, right? It is like Jaime and Cersei's relationship is the manifestation of a Lannister is worth more. That's what it is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, and I'm wrong. I could talk about how bad Tywin and the Red Wedding is and all that for a long time. But you brought up the point about the Starks and eugenics as well, because I think in that context...
Specifically in the Age of Heroes.
Yes. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I actually think that just thinking about this in real time, talking to you, right now, I actually think that the Starks actually provide the exact opposite situation, because the Starks are not being incestuous weirdos. They're going out and acquiring. Think about
more things to incorporate into their family.
Exactly.
Like they're not insular. They're
Exactly.
kind of expanding their gene pool. Though
Yeah.
they do have some things where like Ned's parents were first cousins or something. Like it seems like they frequently will marry Flints and Norries if they don't marry Starks. Which Preston actually theorized that Flints and Norries actually have stronger psychic genes and close to the wall and stuff like that. But whether that's
I
true or
think
not, I don't know.
that I mean maybe, but that seems like
Tinfoil.
that seems like almost unnecessary.
Yeah.
But like, oh sure, I'm not going to strong here, and I'm not going to lose my mind about that kind of thing. But I think the point about the Age of Heroes thing is like, I think that solidly holds, right? They're looking beyond themselves. Now, don't get me wrong; it's not always nice what they do.
Oh no, like they're clearly they kill the guys, the male members of the family, and steal the girls for themselves. So.
Yeah. But there is the idea of a don't worry, it's acquisitive, it's arguably transgressive, but it is like you said, it's not insular. It's not. There doesn't seem to be like, I would not qualify that as like something like degenerate or decadent even.
No, it's just I just think it's just how do I put it? It's just that it is just kind of seems to be a factor that a lot of families within A Song of Ice and Fire are practicing eugenics in order to get psychic genes. They may not understand that it's psychic genes, and so, to a certain extent, they are. It's just kind of an interesting contrast to say the wildlings, where they are seem to be, even though they have a higher concentration of wargs and skin changers, they seem to deliberately attempt to not create genetic bottlenecking.
That's fine.
It's just like the theory is that the White Walkers are trying to take psychic babies to make into White Walkers or something along those lines.
Okay, that's fair. I don't strictly disagree. I think that's. I can't bring myself to strongly formulate an opinion on this because it'll just adjourn into my sort of disdain for the whole way Martin's writing again. This is a thing.
Definitely, like some of it is definitely Martin's mystery boxing and trying to create, like, just throwing in elements and doesn't think about them, because that clearly seems to like be his MO, where there is no like clear thought or foundation.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like that's where I'm trying to like struggle, is because don't get me wrong, I think I could think of many interesting ways to take this, but like that I would just start ripping out Martin in general. Yes, I think the White Walkers
they're so undeveloped, and you have to be felt like we're ultimately just trying to figure out what the heck is going on with them.
Yes, I think the White Walkers are best. They work best as a ticking clock on the situation. I don't think that there's anything more to them than that. Which sucks.
Yeah, there could be a lot of interesting stuff where it's kind of weird. Like I've been writing for the Three-Eyed Theorist for a while, and one thing that is interesting is that they just want the White Walkers to be Terminators, which I think is interesting.
I don't like. You mean like just like they're just killers? Like that's it?
Yeah, like,
I don't.
Which is weird because like in the books they are not like that. They're
not mindless.
Yeah, at the very least, the thing with Waymar Royce indicates that they have like some kind of honor code.
I don't know about that. I would disagree with that.
Well, the reason why I say that they at least have something bearing an honor code where they only fight in one-on-one.
I think that's a function of. So I know exactly where you're going with. I get where you're going with this. To me, that is a function of their sadism, not their not anything like what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I've just one. Yeah, and they only really like move in for the kill when like his sword breaks. Then after that, they start mincing him up, or at least
I
like,
get
the
it.
kill.
Yeah, I get where you're going I get where you're going with that. To me, I would. I guess I would just qualify that more as a function of their sadism. Like the guy's like bullying him. He's like playing with him.
Okay, that's fair.
You
So
know,
it
and then
could
I
be-
get no, I'm not. That's just that's. I'll
It could
stand
be.
on that. Like I get what you're saying, but there's still. But the point, and I want to make clear that what we are saying is that
They have personality.
Yes.
They have personalities.
Yes.
They're
They're
not
thinking.
like a Terminator. They
No,
have
yeah.
they have something that they're doing. And also
Yes.
just the weird stuff with Craster just is like a bunch of like annoying theory fodder.
Here's why I've come around to really liking Craster, actually.
Okay.
In this-
I do like him mostly because he brings a lot of context to the White Walkers, at least it seems like he does. And there's kind of an idea that there's a theory that his dad is Bloodraven. Like that's the crow that came down for the wall. And that's why the White Walkers are okay with his kids, is because they have
Okay, you know what? I've never heard that theory. That's at least good. That's solid.
Mhm.
What I will say though is the reason I like Craster, the reason I've come to like Craster is that I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times. But like one of the popular theories is that like the whole thing with the White Walkers is that they are a like there's going to be like a pact with them or something like that, right?
Yeah, basically where it's, since humanity doesn't really stand a chance against them.
Yeah.
In many respects.
Yes. So, and what I would say though that is that Craster is what a pact with the others looks like. That's how bad it looks, which is why there cannot be a pact with them. Because to make a pact with them is to sell, is to do things like that. It's to sell your sons into, like that's the kind, like that's the thing, like that's the kind of person who would make a pact with the others. A daughter fucking son sacrificing maniac, who the Watch should have like killed the moment they met him.
Yeah. And I think it's just doubly weird because it's just the fact that like G.R. Mormont seems perfectly aware of exactly what he's doing and who he's sacrificing to, but he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that's
the whole of the Night's Watch knows, which is super weird. Like it kind of is, which has led to kind of theories that the Night's Watch has been in the business of sacrificing kids through the Night Fort up until the time of Jaehaerys and Alysanne. And at that point, the White Walkers, or at least like a little bit after that point, White Walker activity started picking up with a King Beyond the Wall surfacing for the first time in a few thousand years.
Yeah, like another thing, like. So I think that's also a function. No, I don't disagree, but I think that's also a function of. So a Song of Ice and Fire exists in this weird place, especially like you can notice this. You notice this especially like in the books versus the World Book, where so you especially notice this in the early books, where like. The world is supposed to be like mysterious and unknown. And there's lots of like things that we don't understand and we don't know what the others are and everything's supposed to be unknown and mysterious and forgotten. And it's like that's not that true, like they know that 3 horn blasts mean others. They know that we know, who Christopher Mudd is at Old Stones. We like, I'm making a very weird point here, but I think it informs a lot of the way like the early books go versus the way the later books go, because the early books are set in like this unknown, like the early books like kind of like feel like they kind of want to be the answers to Lord of the Rings, which is, like let's not get into that comparison too much here, but like where the world is like mysterious, and
That changes pretty heavily come a few other books.
wait, what?
And that changes very, very heavily when the later books come around.
Yeah, it does, because by the later books, you're living in a world that's, I don't want to say the world is known, but the world is very, like you're living in like a geopolitical, like that's the thing, like you're living in like a geopolitical world by the end of by the later books, right? There are factions, there are nations, there are, maybe nations is too strong, but there's like city states and like think about the fact that like how the fuck has there never been a Battle of the Trident before?
Yeah, and it is also kind of weird that Essos and Westeros have never really gone to war with each other than the War of the Nine Penny Kings.
Yeah, that's a good that's a fair point. Like it's don't wrong. There have been there are arguably uncharted regions of the globe even nowadays, but like.
Mm-hmm. As well as like it's weird that they haven't tried clearing out Sithorios, for example.
There's that. I mean, that I'm not even talking about like the other continents and things like that. I'm just talking about like how much like I don't want to say dead space there is on the map. Well, there is like a lot of surprising dead space on the map. Like what the fuck is west of the neck? Like that whole giant peninsula is like filled with nothing.
Yeah, same with the large areas of the north like Barrowtown is basically surrounded by but nothing. Same with the Hornwood.
Exactly.
Dreadfort.
And I'm okay with things. See, I'm okay with their. Okay, let me put it like this, right? I'm okay with there being low population density.
Oh yeah, that's totally fine. It's just that there seems to be unusually high amounts of anti-population density, if that makes sense.
And I get that, and also there seems to be. Yes, and I also think it also seems that there's just like a like we're presented with a world with a startling lack of like information about itself, right? That's kind of like the idea, like, and that this is closer. I'm getting closer to what I'm thinking now, right? Because Martin, the whole conceit is that Westeros is a land that's forgotten its enemy, right? The others.
Yeah.
And
which is really strange considering that they created a library in the Age of Heroes.
Exactly. Right? That's exactly the problem, right? Everything we know about Westeros after like the first book and a half or so, not even the first book and a half, basically after the first book, is that Westeros is a country, for lack of a term. Westeros is very aware of its history.
Which is really strange because it's like everything is documented for centuries.
Yeah, every legend is known. Every legend is known. The families all know each other. They've existed for thousands of years, which let's not get into that. Right? Like, the
Starks have been around for 8,000 years.
Yes.
Like probably that's bull, but
yeah,
they do.
Yeah, but like at least in like
the Durrandons only 300 years ago went extinct.
Yeah, they're basically they just basically got a name change, right? And we know, the story is about, and this is the thing, right? The story, the actual like plot of the books hinges on, this is I'm formulating this thinking as I'm speaking with you, so forgive me, but
you're fine. I like hearing you talk your way through these kinds of things. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, but I think like so here's the thing, right? So like I said, like the story, the crux of the White Walker problem, particularly, like hinges on Westeros being a country that has forgotten its past, right? They've forgotten their ancient enemy, right? But the actual dramatic story, the story against the Lannisters, for lack of a better term, the political plot, as we could call it, right? That is entirely driven by the fact that people know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Right? They not that everyone knows everything, obviously, because people are lying and stuff and misinformation, all that kind of stuff. But the good stuff in the story hinges on people knowing what's happening. Right? They know that the Lannisters are taking the throne, or they know that, or
Like in the case of the Tyrells, they know and they don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if they do care, they are slowly, basically just being a slightly nicer version of the Lannisters.
Well, that's true, but don't get me wrong. I think that's all exactly accurate. However, what I mean by that is that's not exactly what I meant. Although, yes, again, I have no problem slagging the Tyrells. I'm always happy.
Yeah,
to do that.
well, but it's basically like it is based on the fact that information about the incests and the fact that the Lannisters are bad people that rely on tyranny tactics is basically rampant across Westeros. Is that what you're trying to get across?
That's part of
accurate?
it. That's absolutely part of it. But next level deeper, right? It's that Tywin. So we're talking about like Tywin remembers his father and the effects of that on his children, right? It's about the Dornish. It's about the Dornish and their relationship with the Targaryens and with the rest of Westeros, and that's well known and documented. It's about the relationship with. It's about the
Blackfires and Targaryens.
Wait, between what and Targaryens?
The Blackfires and the Targaryens.
Exactly. Yes, the Blackfires and Targaryens. That's all well known. The relationship between the Baratheon brothers, the relationship between, and this is both character to character and like these wider like faction level thinking, right? These are all
the individual characters within the Targaryen dynasty and how each of them basically like broke the power of the dynasty piece by piece until finally Aerys collapsed it.
Yeah, exactly. These are all yes. All these things, right? Don't get me wrong. There's some mystery to them, and not every character knows everything. We don't know everything, theoretically.
Yeah, like how much of a hoe was Rhaenyra?
Exactly, right? Sure. That's a perfectly good example, right?
Or even like Daemon, or even just the fact that Daemon Targaryen actually kind of is not that bad of a person. When like
Daemon Targaryen,
which is weird because like he's not like that. Like a lot, like I think Preston Jacobs, like when he goes through it, he's like Daemon is actually not that bad of a person when you get right down to it. He doesn't do that many bad things in Fire and Blood.
We can talk about that another time. But my point there, though, is that yes, that's still a point. Like we know who Daemon Targaryen is. We can look at the things he did and analyze them.
Yeah, the only mystery scene around him seemed to be whether like he was like a fatherly person to Nettles, or if Nettles was his side chick.
Sure. Yeah, and then even then, like we know that there is a relationship there. We have to suss it out, right? It's not like my point is that there's not like we're not confronted with the tragedy of forgetting, right?
Yeah, it's basically like everything within the past 300 or so years is extremely well documented.
Yes.
And it's only when you go back past the conquest that it kind of gets a little bit more murky.
Sure, exactly. And
even then it's only with Westeros. Essos, by comparison, especially the Valyrian Freehold, is very well documented by comparison.
Yes.
Like with how they destroyed Old Gase, ruled over them for centuries. We're kind of like basically
destroyed
Garen the Great destroyed them, and then the Rhoynish fled from the Valyrians and stuff like that.
Yeah, Yes, and things like that, and also things like and yes, there's that stuff. There's like the historical stuff, and again, there's also I think that Martin's strength is unquestionably his character, so I think it's always important to stress the character stuff, right? John. John does not know who he is, but John. Like the draw, like how do I put this? The drama of John's storyline does not come in trying to figure out the White Walkers. It comes from trying to figure out himself, right? Even in the context of that, it's like the cool stuff is John interacting with the wildlings and how he has to like incorporate them into, and how he has to negotiate / incorporate them into into his formulation of what to do, because they are people and they do warrant being saved, but they're also very dangerous. So,
And it's just funny that all of the Starks are wargs, and that nobody else in the north, south of the wall, seemed to be like able to do warging abilities. Like, it was clear, though maybe there was kind of an idea that Domeric Bolton and Lyanna Stark had warging abilities. They were just warging into their horses.
Maybe, yeah, I get that. I think that,
but it's just kind of weird. It's just kind of an interesting thing where it's like they're only now harnessing these psychic abilities after thousands of years.
Exactly. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, exactly. Like, why? And then like a theory. That's the whole thing with the comet and like, oh, magic is only manifesting itself again now. But like, the dragons were around for a long time, unless the Starks were keeping things secret. I'm actually reminded of So this is
even after the dragons died, like Bloodraven was around, and Bloodraven's clearly like old god magic.
Exactly.
And like, it seems as though the old god magic is something more tied to the Weirwoods, and that never went away. But stuff like fire magic and R'hllor magic, and like what the magic that goes into making wildfire diminished when the dragons died.
So I'm reminded of, this is a very crazy tangent. So in Darth Plagueis, the Darth Plagueis novel from Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that James Luceno, the author, kind of ran into while he was writing was he was like, there's lots of like crazy shit in like the old, like ancient, like KOTOR era, Old Republic era Sith. They're all into like crazy crap. And he's like, how the hell do we justify the Sith, like, being in the situation where they like don't have like all these like crazy powers anymore? And so he had to like invent a character. He had to invent a whole like character, or basically like 2 or 3 characters to explain that how the Sith like lost all their ancient knowledge,
as well as got reduced down to just 2.
No, there's not that part, because that was already in place. But so to make a very long story short, like when Bane started the rule of 2, like fine, he starts rule of 2, but when he does that, he still has all of this like crazy ancient alchemical knowledge and stuff, and he's like a super powered maniac, and his apprentice is also going to be that way. And like the Sith are like starting, the Sith at that moment are like, they're going to be fine. And Luceno, the author, had to be like, all right, how the hell do I say that from there it's like, Palpatine is very potent obviously, but he's like completely different, and part of that is his personality. But like the Sith of of that time, of Palpatine and his master, like, were very different. And how do I lower their power level to make everything a little more coherent? So he has to like make up this character. He has to make up this like character where I think his name is Darth Gravid, and he's like this Sith master who tries to like turn to the light side and like incorporate light side teachings or whatever into the Sith doctrine, and he like goes crazy, and like he has to be killed by his apprentice, and like he like loses. And the idea is that like that incident like loses all the ancient knowledge of the Sith to the Sith Order, and so they have to like start over from zero almost. I only bring that up because again, it's like it's like kind of a weird situation where it's like, how the hell, to your point we're taking, why are the Starks only now becoming wargers again? What's going on there?
Especially because they seem to be hitting the genetic lottery in a way where like all six. Like 6 wargs, even though like let's see, like odds of wargs so it's 1 in 1,000 is the number for wargs and skin changers, and it is hereditary. And it's super weird that it's 6. Like that is an insane. If the odds are 1 in 1,000, getting 6, that's crazy.
Yes, it is. And the thing, I know it's that's the thing, right? A Song of Ice and Fire exists in 2 modes, right? It exists in this mode that we're talking about right now, which is that, you know, like there's magic and it's weird and it's unknowable and crazy things happen. And then it exists in the other mode where it's like there's this deep moral and socio-political conflict that we can map out. We like, again, there are some mysteries, but like there's no mysteries. We don't have to like puzzle box our way through the Red Wedding. Like we just have to analyze it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, it's basically like all of the clues for the Red Wedding are kind of laid out. Like he's pretty upfront with the fact that Walder is a pissant, awful person.
Yeah, exactly. And what does it mean? Like, what does it say about, you know, them and other people? And
well, basically, he's a bad. Well,
yes.
I think it's like the theme seems to be, and I don't think that Martin did a good job of doing this in the early books, is the idea of short-term games, long-term losses. Because
well, I think that's. I mean, I feel like that's the whole point of the 4th and 5th books. He's showing the short-term gains fall apart.
Yeah, but it's like I just think it's funny that people take away for that it's cynical and nihilistic when it's kind of not.
I agree. I agree with that. I think that it's a complete misread of the story to think that it's morally nihilistic. I think Martin is threatening to go there at times, and I think that he could fall off at any moment, but I don't think that the story is nihilistic in and of itself. I think that
it's burdened by his boomer morality and his Vietnam experience.
Yes, and I also do think that I do also think that he threatened to be nihilistic at some points. I think that he's like walking a fine, because like, you know, like the greatness of his art, if he could ever pull it off, and I don't think he will, if he could pull it off, he would straddle the line, and he'd walk the tightrope. He'd be able to look over into the abyss without falling into it, because you have to be able to confront that. It's like, you know, I don't like Shakespeare all the time, but like that's what makes Shakespeare so good, because he can understand it, he can look into it, he can grapple with it and not succumb to it. You know, that's what makes Macbeth so good. That's what makes Othello so good, right? It's his ability to have it there and but also recognize it for what it is, right? The moral abyss the Lannisters represent has to be repudiated. that being said, occasionally I'm reminded that I was thinking the other day about how I think that I've come to the conclusion that I think Jamie. I feel like Jamie. I don't think I like the wildfire plot anymore. I think it's lame.
Okay, like what? Like what do you mean by what wildfire plot? Like the Clash of Kings, or the idea of Cersei becoming like Ares 2.0?
No, what I mean. No, what I mean specifically is that is the thing with Ares and the wildfire. It's present in Clash because I have no real problem with. I think that's okay. I think that so we all know that the reason why Jamie kills Ares is that Ares is threatening to blow up the town and whatever, right? But I feel like that's like kind of lame. Actually, I've come to the conclusion that is lame because it would be way more interesting. Because like the whole thing, right, is that Jamie
killed his king,
yes.
and what he did is technically by just the end of Clash of Kings, it's clear that Ares, like Jamie, did nothing wrong in killing Ares other than in breaking his vow, and even then, it's like, yeah, you should do that.
Yeah,
And the thing is, for Brandon and Rickard, like Brandon and Rickard is a mockery of justice.
Yes, exactly. And the idea there is that like so Jamie broke his vow and he killed Ares, and that's questionable at best. But the reason why people hold him in contempt, and the reason why Ned Stark holds Jamie in contempt, is that he seems to have done it in accordance, like for the same reason his father sacked King's Landing. It was cynical, it was opportunistic, it was self-serving, right? That's the reason everyone hold Jamie in contempt for killing Ares, not because he killed Ares, right?
Yeah,
but because
like
he killed Ares for like the worst possible reason.
Yeah, he didn't kill him because he was he saw Ares as a bad king. He saw it as basically the game was up.
Exactly. Right. And he thought that he was going to be like Tywin, right? Again, like this is appropriate, right? Like he he's trapped in the shadow of his father, right?
Yeah,
this is
and
good
he can't
writing for
escape it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
However, my point here is that Martin gives him this like ridiculously good out by giving Ares this crazy wildfire blow up the city plan. And it's kind of ridiculous because we can imagine it'd be far more interesting dramatically if if Jamie just killed Ares because he was just fucking sick of him. Right? If he had just like because we can imagine like he just was fed up with this crazy, evil, unworthy asshole,
Mm-hmm.
and he just ran him through. And he did it for, and we could debate whether that's the right reasons or whether he should kill him. That's a different kind of question. But like he doesn't do it for the reason. He doesn't, he doesn't do it because the city's in danger. He doesn't do it because he arguably does it because
he's doing it because this man is evil.
Exactly. Exactly. And he's doing it because he thinks he should. And that's more interesting than the wildfire thing. I think that'd be way more cool. And and also the wildfire, it creates like this, again, that's another, like, it's another half mystery box, half Chekhov's gun that.
As well as the whole Taisha thing.
Wait, what?
As well as like the Taisha thing, where it's like, where is Taisha?
I think that's garbage. I think that people who think about that are like, that's ridiculous to me. Like she's not.
She's
wherever horrors go.
She's gone from the story, and she's never going to come back. The only thing that's going to be there is just her memory.
Exactly.
Okay.
She is,
That's a
yeah. Where horrors go is rhetorical. Like if she does return, it'll be coincidence, which is fine. I'm not against coincidence or contrivance. But
There's
where
just kind
horrors
of-
go is a rhetorical thing on top. It shows his callousness.
Yeah, the fact that he's just like, I don't care about it. He just says, this one was a horror. Like, because Tywin seems like he's kind of like, he's summed up, like, this is immediately a line I took and put into a theory where Tywin just, at one point, where, like, Tywin finds out about Jon. That's kind of the premise of the idea. But at one point, what Tywin says is, there's no such thing as good or evil, Lord Stark. There's only power and legacy, and those too weak to take it.
Yeah,
And I think that would you say that that's an accurate summary of Tywin's worldview? That's very similar to Lord Voldemort's in a way.
I'm thinking. I think that fully encapsulates his thoughts. It's close. Like I don't think it's inaccurate. I think that
Because Tywin just believes in doing what is most advantageous to his house and most disadvantageous to his enemies, and which often includes inhumane tactics.
yeah, no, it definitely encapsulates his. I think it does his his disregard for morality correctly. The question with Tywin is his. And this is where it ties into his interiority, right? His interest in his house is really his interest in himself.
Yeah. It's
right.
Basically, how do I give myself immortality through my dynasty? Exactly.
That is a good way of phrasing that, right? His plan, like Tywin's plan, is always very amusing to me because his goal seems to be
get his house on the throne of Westeros.
Kind of. It's a little more subtle than that.
Like at least merge his bloodline with the ruling family.
Yes.
So that his his bloodline, it doesn't even need to be his name, just his bloodline is on the Iron Throne.
Yeah, his plan,
generations to come.
Exactly. His plan seems to be put Lannister blood on the Iron Throne, and then at Casterly Rock, the Lannister of Casterly Rock will be like the shadow dictator of Westeros. That seems to be his real plan.
Kind of like Otto Hightower, or maybe kind
of like Otto von Bismarck, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, like, I think the show kind of went there a little bit with that, with what you're saying with Otto.
There's also kind of the element that the Hightowers seem like they are trying, like, out of the families pre-Dance, the only family that the Targaryens married into were the Hightowers.
But they married the Valerians.
Well, oh yeah, sorry. So there's three. So it's the Baratheons, the Valerians, and the Hightowers, and nobody else, which I think is really interesting.
I think there's two. I mean, I think that
there's kind of theories that the Hightowers have that the Valerians are basically Great Empire of the Dawn people, and that the Danes of Starfall and the Hightowers are basically from a similar Valyrian branch, only they're from the Great Empire of the Dawn, and that the Valyrians are a different branch of the Great Empire of the Dawn people, and that's why the Hightowers are sometimes described as looking Valyrian. Maybe.
No, I get that kind of logic. I think that. See, this is the thing. I think that what you're talking about and I don't, I'm not saying it's wrong or anything. Like, what I'm saying is that like what you're talking about is like this version of the story where the story's about like these ancient, forgotten things, right? And that's fine. The story that could be there would be cool, but that's not the story. That's not what the story's about. The story's about the moral drama of the realm being torn apart.
Yeah, but the problem is there's no the story. The story seems to have kind of drifted away from that, especially with the Dance with Dragons.
Yes.
Like Dance with Dragons is basically is mostly comprised of Jon and Daenerys kind of figuring out being in a holding pattern.
Yes.
And there's also like of a few theories that like Jon will probably like get with Melisandre, like kind of which is I think that's going to be because she's clearly like she is like clearly like she and there kind of could be like there's elements of like the fact that he's a warg means that he can make more and that they're at the wall can make even more frighteningly OP shadow babies. Which is like what she's like focused on in every single one of her a lot of her dialogue and a lot of her things in Feast for Crows where she wants to make shadows and seems obsessed with Jon.
I think I find it amusing I occasionally run across the occasional criticism, and like someone was like, the shadow baby assassins should never have been a thing because they're so like overpowered that Martin like has to immediately write them out.
Oh yeah, for sure. I fully 100% agree with that. That is for sure what I would definitely agree with that.
That's right. No, I've come to agree with that. Like it's you know, I'm tired of. I don't have to endlessly glaze Stannis, but like I will. Like like you don't need stuff like that, right?
Yeah, it's basically like, how in the world do you do this? Like how do you combat something like that? Which is kind of why a lot of people will say like at least like in a lot of fan fiction, the Valyrian steel kills can disrupt shadow assassins.
But I get that. I understand the logic. No, because you need something to fight against that power, right?
As well as like the thing with them is like, and at least with like the idea of Dragon Glass and Valyrian Steel, there's kind of the idea that okay, they work on the White Walkers, which are basically shadow assassins for the Children of the Forest,
sure,
or like some kind of psychic aberration creation, or whatever.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that. That logic holds. I think. I don't know. I just so weird.
Yeah.
I think that and also like dramatically it's unnecessary. Well, not that it's unnecessary because it works dramatically because it lets Stannis be the antagonist of the Clash of Kings.
But then it kind of creates a number of problems. Like why didn't he, even within Clash of Kings, why doesn't he use that power on Joffrey or something else?
Like why did he use it? Why doesn't he use it after Clash of Kings when everything is a disaster and there's a contrived reason that he's too weak, but that's contrived. Like that's Martin realizing the problem he's created and having to write it out. Right? Because Melisandre wouldn't be so like, even if Stannis didn't know that he was going to be weak, Melisandre wouldn't be so stupid as to burn a shadow assassin, burn a shadow assassin on Courtney Penrose if she knew that Stannis needed to be of a certain vitality to do it. So it's all just weird and
Yeah, it makes no sense. It's very much like Martin throwing in elements that he doesn't think through the ramifications of.
exactly.
All right. Well, we've been chatting for a couple hours. I should probably
Yes, I do need to go.
all right. But this was fun. I think we'll kind of end on. I did pull up like George R. R. Martin's favorite Targaryen. Like it's like a minute long. Like why he likes Jaehaerys.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
But I skipped over Jaehaerys. There's very little about Jaehaerys in the world of Ice and Fire because, you know, he was the good king. He reigned for 55 years of peace and prosperity. What's duller than peace and prosperity? But when I was doing Fire and Blood, I said, well, I can't just have a 3-sentence chapter that said Jaehaerys reigned for 55 years of peace and prosperity. I got to invent some stuff that happened there. So I got into that, and I wound up writing another, 100,000 words just about Jaehaerys. And yeah, there was sort of peace and prosperity, but there was also, a few murders and dragon fights and conspiracies and cool stuff. I had a lot of fun writing about Jaehaerys and his wife Alysanne, and who was his queen. And I think you will enjoy reading them.
It's
too.
actually one of my favorite parts.
All right, that wasn't that bad. That was just. I
It's
mean,
just vague.
Yeah.
Super vague.
I wouldn't say that. He just says like, "Oh, he's the good king." Which, yeah, that's the point. He's archetypically the good king. But I'll have to explore this game in Targaryen nonsense, though.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, we'll call that good for today. Thank you all for coming. Bye.
Thanks for having me. I do have to jet though later.
Okay. See ya.
See ya.
It was very good. Well, I would honestly give this show a solid 8.5 out of 10. Like 8 to 8.5 out of 10. I have no problems with it. But yeah, see you later. Bye.